Most seniors eat the wrong bread every day, without knowing it, but one quiet swap could change your digestion, energy, and even memory. Let's begin with the four types doing the most hidden harm. Bread feels harmless, comforting, familiar, but after 60, your gut and brain become more sensitive, especially to refined starch and fake fiber. And the label healthy doesn't always mean safe. Let me show you which breads to avoid and what to eat instead. 1. The hidden danger in your bread basket. Rosa used to start her day with a soft slice of healthy oatmeal bread. She believed it was nourishing. After all, it had a heart-shaped logo and said multigrain on the package. But every morning, within an hour, she'd feel heavy in her belly and oddly tired in her mind, the kind of tired that made her forget if she'd taken her medication yet. What she didn't know, that bread was acting more like sugar than sustenance. Many breads marketed to seniors carry comforting labels: wholesome, made with oats, natural grain. But behind these phrases lies a trap: refined flour with a brown tint. And after 60, your body handles these ingredients differently. The lining of the gut becomes thinner, your insulin response slows, and your microbiome becomes more sensitive to fake fiber. Here's what most people miss: refined breads digest too quickly. Like flipping on a light switch, they cause a sudden rise in blood glucose. In younger bodies, insulin kicks in fast, but in seniors, the process lags. The result? A longer sugar spike, followed by a deeper crash, and a wave of fatigue, brain fog, or stomach bloating. A 2020 study in the Journal of Gerontology found that adults over 65 who regularly consumed refined wheat products had a 37% higher likelihood of post-meal fatigue and reported lower cognitive clarity within 90 minutes. And the most common bread they ate? Soft grain and enriched wheat breads, masquerading as health foods. Think of your gut like a garden hose. Refined starch clogs the hose with sludge. Over time, this slows nutrient absorption and increases inflammation, not just in the gut, but system-wide. So, how can you spot the danger? Start by flipping the package. If the first ingredient isn't 100% whole grain, walk away. Words like enriched flour or wheat flour are just other names for white flour. And color is not your friend. Molasses or caramel coloring is often added to make it look healthy. Let me ask you gently, have you ever picked a bread because it looked brown or had oats on the crust? You're not alone, and you're not to blame. But it's time to stop trusting the front of the label. Because what we think of as harmless can quietly turn into a daily dose of inflammation. Ready to unlearn what multigrain really means? Let's go deeper in the next segment. 2. Multigrain myths: looks brown, acts white. Robert, a 68-year-old retired math teacher, prided himself on being nutrition aware. Every morning, he made a turkey sandwich using multigrain bread that looked dark and rustic. He even joked with his wife, "See, I gave up white bread." But after a recent blood panel showed elevated blood sugar and cholesterol, his doctor gently pointed to a culprit. That multigrain bread wasn't what it seemed. Here's the hard truth. Multigrain means nothing about health. It simply means more than one grain was used. It doesn't say if they were whole, and it certainly doesn't say if the bread is good for your digestion, blood sugar, or heart. In fact, the majority of multigrain breads sold in supermarkets are just white bread in disguise, dyed with molasses or caramel color to appear whole. A 2022 survey by the Whole Grains Council found that 72% of multigrain labeled loaves contain more refined than whole grains. Why does this matter for seniors? Because as we age, our insulin response weakens, our digestive transit slows, and our inflammation threshold drops. Eating refined carbs and brown clothing spikes blood sugar just as sharply, sometimes more so because they're misleadingly soft and sweet. They hit fast, trigger insulin, and leave the body confused. Let's take a biological lens. Imagine your bloodstream as a calm river. Whole grains create a gentle flow. Refined grains dump debris in, causing turbulence, insulin waves, inflammatory ripples, and gut bacteria imbalance. And if the multigrain contains enriched flour as its first ingredient, it behaves almost identically to white bread: low fiber, low satiety, high glucose load. So, what should you look for? Flip the label. Don't be fooled by the front. The first ingredient must say 100% whole, grain type, like whole wheat or whole rye. Bonus points if it has greater than or equal to 3 grams of fiber per slice. Ignore 12 grain, hearty, or made with wheat. Those are marketing poetry, not nutritional facts. Now, pause for a moment. Have you ever bought bread just because the color looked healthy, or because the name sounded wholesome? You're not the only one, but that small unlearning, that's where healing begins. Up next, the innocent-sounding low-fat bread that might be tricking your metabolism even more. 3. The low-fat lie. The real cost of stripped-down bread. Carol, 66, made a promise to herself after her mild heart scare. Cut down fat, eat lighter, walk daily. She picked up low-fat bread at the grocery store, thinking she was making the smart swap. It was soft, easy to digest, and paired well with her turkey slices. But 2 months in, her energy dropped, her sugar cravings surged, and she felt strangely bloated after lunch. When her daughter suggested reading the ingredients, she realized her light bread was loaded with hidden traps. Here's what's happening behind the label. Low-fat bread is often ultra-processed. To make up for lost texture and taste when fat is removed, manufacturers add modified starches, sugar alcohols, and stabilizers. These don't nourish the body, they confuse it. They digest fast, spike insulin, and offer almost zero fiber, which seniors need most. Let's ground that in real data. A 2021 analysis from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who regularly consumed low-fat refined products, especially diet bread, had 34% higher insulin resistance markers than those eating moderate fat whole grain alternatives. The culprit? A sharp drop in nutrient density and gut fiber. Think of it like this. Removing healthy fats from bread is like taking the brakes off a bicycle. It moves faster, but with no control. Your blood sugar reacts the same way. With fat gone and fiber low, glucose from the bread hits your bloodstream like a downhill rush, with no buffer. And for seniors, this means a bigger post-meal crash. More cravings later in the day, greater inflammation over time. Carol's story isn't rare. She thought she was helping her heart, but in trying to remove fat, she lost balance, and her body felt it. So, how do you protect yourself? Avoid breads labeled just low-fat or light, unless the ingredients show whole grains and natural fiber. Choose breads with at least 2 to 3 grams of fat and 3+ grams of fiber per slice, often from seeds, nuts, or sprouted grains. And remember, fat isn't the enemy. Imbalance is. Here's a question to reflect on. Have you ever felt better eating a slice of bread that wasn't diet, but left you fuller longer? Sometimes trusting the old advice to cut the fat needs updating, especially when it's our digestion and energy that pay the price. Coming up next, the sweet-sounding breads that act more like dessert than breakfast. 4. The sweet trap, when comfort food becomes a sugar bomb. Every Sunday, Uncle Nam made his famous healthy breakfast. A toasted slice of raisin bread, a banana, and a small coffee with milk. At 71, it was his ritual, a cozy moment from his childhood. But his blood pressure was rising. His doctor warned of prediabetes, and he couldn't understand why. "I barely eat sweets," he said. But what he missed was this. Many sweet breads hide as innocent breakfast foods, but behave like desserts. Raisin bread, cinnamon swirl, banana bread, even breakfast loaf or fruit toast. These aren't breakfast, they're baked sugar delivery systems. The typical slice of raisin bread has 7 to 9 grams of sugar, and that's before you add anything. Banana bread, often closer to 20 to 25 grams per slice, equal to a slice of cake. And for seniors whose glucose regulation is more fragile, this has real consequences. A 2022 study from Harvard's Department of Nutrition tracked 1,800 adults over 60 and found that those who ate sweetened bread products greater than or equal to 3 times per week had a 42% higher incidence of blood glucose spikes, even without diabetes. The problem wasn't just the sugar, but the absence of fiber and healthy fats to buffer the metabolic hit. Here's the metaphor to remember. Sweetbreads are like beautiful wrapping paper. The outside feels warm, nostalgic. But inside, it's mostly starch and sugar, wrapped tightly around a metabolic grenade. Even worse, these breads often come at emotional moments, loneliness, fatigue, habit. We turn to them for memory, not nourishment. And that's okay, until they become daily. So, what can you do instead? Swap banana bread with a slice of sprouted grain toast, plus fresh banana slices, plus a sprinkle of cinnamon. Same comfort, less crash. Replace raisin bread with sourdough, plus almond butter, plus a few real raisins for slow energy release. And if it says made with fruit, ask, is the fiber still there? Or just the sugar? Pause and ask yourself, have you mistaken sweet for safe? What if your most comforting bread was also your blood sugar's biggest threat? Coming next, we shift from what to avoid to the breads that actually help heal your gut, support your mind, and fuel your day. Starting with a surprising ally, rye. We've seen the breads that quietly steal from our health. Now, let's switch tracks, because not all bread is the enemy. Some, if chosen well, can actually help your body heal. Let's explore the 3 kinds that deserve a place at your table. 5. Whole Rye's Fiber Shield, a quiet champion for digestion and blood sugar balance. In the quiet town of Lund, Sweden, 70-year-old Ingrid never skipped her morning rye bread. It wasn't fancy, just a dense, slightly sour slice topped with soft cheese. But what amazed visiting researchers was how people like Ingrid, well into their 70s and 80s, maintain stable blood sugar and regular digestion, despite simple, bread-heavy diets. The secret? Whole rye. Not rye-flavored, not rye-colored, but the real thing. Dense, fibrous, fermented, slow to digest. Unlike common wheat bread, which breaks down rapidly into glucose, whole rye contains a special type of fiber called arabinoxylan, a powerful compound that slows carbohydrate absorption and feeds beneficial gut bacteria. A 2020 study in nutrition and metabolism found that older adults who ate rye bread daily had 27% lower post-meal glucose spikes and reported improved bowel regularity in just 3 weeks. Think of whole rye as a kind of internal buffer, like a sponge in your gut. It doesn't just feed you, it feeds your microbiome. It creates short-chain fatty acids, which reduce inflammation and support colon health, especially important after age 60 when gut flora diversity often declines. Let's take a biological metaphor. If wheat bread is like kindling, burning fast and hot, then rye is like a log on the fire, slow, steady, releasing warmth without a spike. That's what your metabolism craves as it ages, rhythm over rush. What to look for? The word whole rye flour, or 100% rye, should be the first ingredient. Ideally, choose dense, sour varieties, not fluffy, light rye loaves that often contain wheat fillers. Bonus if it's fermented, like traditional Nordic or German rye breads, which improve mineral absorption and gut-friendly bacteria. Try this tomorrow morning. A slice of dense rye, topped with avocado and a pinch of sea salt. Chew slowly. Feel how full you stay, not just in body, but in calm. Here's a gentle question. Have you ever tried whole rye? What did your body feel like afterwards? Sometimes, the best healing begins with one slice, quiet, slow, and grounded. Up next, the misunderstood marvel of sprouted grain breads, and why unlocking a seed may unlock your energy too. 6. Sprouted wisdom. Mr. Harris, 72, once joked that his stomach woke up angry. Bloating, gas, and unpredictable digestion made mornings feel like a gamble. His daughter, a dietitian, suggested something odd, sprouted grain bread. It tastes like birdseed, he laughed. But within 2 weeks of replacing his usual toast, something changed. The bloating eased. His bathroom schedule normalized, and surprisingly, his afternoon energy no longer crashed. What makes sprouted bread different? It starts with the grain. When grains are sprouted, soaked, and allowed to begin germination, they undergo a quiet transformation. Enzymes activate, breaking down starches into simpler sugars, making the bread easier to digest. Fiber becomes softer, and key nutrients like B vitamins, folate, and antioxidants increase. For seniors whose digestive enzymes may have slowed and nutrient absorption may have declined, sprouted grains act like a shortcut. They're pre-digested by nature, unlocking benefits without triggering gut discomfort. A 2021 study published in Food Research International found that adults age 60 plus who consumed sprouted grain bread daily had lower inflammatory markers, C-reactive protein, by 19%, higher magnesium and B6 absorption, and reported better satiety, feeling fuller, longer. Here's a metaphor to hold on to. Imagine a locked seed. Sprouting is like turning the key. You're not just eating the grain, you're activating its healing potential. And unlike heavily processed whole wheat loaves, sprouted breads often come with no added sugars, no artificial preservatives, and are rich in living enzymes that continue to support gut flora balance. What should you look for? Brands that list sprouted whole grains as the first ingredient, not flour. A short ingredient list: grains, seeds, water, salt. Nothing else. Often kept in the freezer aisle to preserve freshness. If you've ever felt bloated after healthy bread, this might be your missing piece. Have you ever tried sprouted bread? What did your body say back to you? Sometimes healing comes not by eating less, but by choosing what's already alive. Next, we explore one more hero, sourdough, and how its ancient bacteria may soothe modern inflammation. If you replaced just one bread this week, which one would it be and why? 7. Sourdough with seeds. When Rosa, 69, moved in with her niece in San Francisco, she was hesitant about the city's trendy foods. But one thing she came to love: the freshly baked sourdough from the corner bakery. It didn't upset her stomach like supermarket bread. It kept her full longer. And it reminded her of the simple loaves her grandmother used to make, before bread came in plastic bags. Sourdough isn't just an old-world tradition. It's a fermentation process that transforms flour, water, and salt into something alive, literally. And for seniors, it may hold some of the most powerful benefits for gut health, mineral absorption, and inflammation reduction. Here's how it works. Unlike commercial breads that use fast-rising yeast, sourdough relies on wild bacteria and natural fermentation. During the long rise time, lactic acid bacteria, like lactobacillus, break down phytic acid, which usually blocks mineral absorption. The result? More available magnesium, iron, and zinc. Plus, lower gluten content and better digestibility. A 2019 study published in Frontiers in Microbiology found that seniors consuming naturally fermented sourdough for 6 weeks showed enhanced gut flora diversity, improved bowel regularity, and reduced symptoms of bloating compared to regular whole wheat bread. Metaphorically speaking, sourdough is a peace treaty between bread and your body. It communicates, it adapts, it slows things down. Its acidity also lowers the glycemic response, meaning it doesn't spike blood sugar like typical bread. For aging metabolism, this means more sustained energy and less inflammatory cascade. But be warned, not all sourdoughs are created equal. Look for naturally fermented or long fermentation on the label. Only 3 to 4 ingredients: flour, water, salt, starter. A chewy texture and tangy smell, not soft and bland. Rosa says she doesn't miss store-bought bread at all. This one feels like it cares for me, she laughs. That's what real food does. Let me ask you gently. If bread has caused you trouble in the past, is it possible it wasn't the bread, but how it was made? We'll close with a quiet reflection and a soft invitation to reimagine bread not as a villain, but as a partner in aging well. Take a moment. Think back to the last time bread made you feel comforted, not just full, but nourished. Was it soft and fluffy or dense and grounding? Was it something your body thanked you for, or something it quietly struggled with? After 60, bread doesn't have to be a battlefield. It can be a bridge between memory and metabolism, between tradition and transformation. What we've seen isn't about fear. It's about choosing bread that works with you, not against you. Ditching the deceptive softness of white breads that spike and crash. Stepping away from the low-fat lie that steals balance. Saying no to sweetened slices disguised as breakfast. And embracing what heals. Whole rye, sprouted grains, naturally fermented sourdough. Not because it's trendy, but because your digestion, your energy, your brain, they all deserve real nourishment. And maybe, just maybe, healing starts not with removing bread, but with choosing a better one. So here's my invitation for you. Reflect. Which of these breads has been part of your kitchen, and which might you try next week? Share below. What's one change you're ready to make in how you approach bread? Or, if you've already found your safe loaf, what helped you get there? And if this video sparked a moment of clarity for you, even a small one, consider subscribing. Not just for information, but for companionship on the path of wiser, healthier aging. Your journey isn't about perfection. It's about noticing, choosing, and knowing. Even in something as simple as bread, your story still gets to evolve.